This week we're reviewing the Absa New Wave Platinum and Silver ETNs, of course managed by Absa Capital. The fund was formed in March 2012, so fairly recently. Looking at those security codes, they're listed as under new PLT and new SLV. The benchmark is the underlying spot metal price based in dollar terms, and those of course you obviously bought in rands, and the fee is 0.4% per annum.
Yeah, I mean that's a reasonable total expense ratio there at 0.40%. I mean it certainly isn't more expensive than anything else in the market, and it's probably the easiest and cheapest way that you could potentially get involved in this market. Would you say at the moment, Vladimir?
Yes, I would think so. I mean the platinum and silver ETNs have the same total expense ratio as our new gold ETF, and we believe that they're the cheapest. They have the lowest TRs in the comparative market.
Vladimir, just take us through what investors would face if they didn't buy this, but they wanted to buy platinum. In other words, in terms of buying the physical as a private investor, what is involved there? Currencies, offshore accounts?
Well, if you wanted to buy platinum, you can do it in multiple ways, I would assume. So physical platinum, you can participate in the spot platinum market, and those markets are generally overseas, but it is outside of the it is a very specialized market.
You have to have money offshore, you have to money
What type of capital are we looking at? Is this for the retail investor?
For the retail investor, investing directly in the spot market is not feasible, because obviously you would have to open an account, an unallocated or allocated account with a custodian internationally, and that is quite a process. And of course, we are talking about investing in larger sums of money, and that applies to institutions. But also, when you invest in platinum or any physical commodity, you would have to presumably insure it. You would have the storage costs and so on, and that is all built in. Now, of course, we do. Our platinum and silver ETNs are physically backed, and so there are implicit storage and insurance costs priced into the product.
Into that 0.4% per annum.
Exactly,
cost,
but they are really on the institutional basis, because if you're running, and we have the same experience with new gold, if you have 40 tons of gold, you can negotiate, you have economies of scale, so your storage costs and your insurance costs are much more affordable than if you did it as an individual. Now, if you other ways to invest it is invested in jewelry or through coins and so on, but again that becomes quite illiquid. It's very difficult to trade it. The spreads are extremely wide. We are making market on these products, and our spreads are basically equal to the spreads in the spot platinum market.
I mean, I might stand to correction here, but I mean the biggest owner of the gold ETF at the moment is institutional asset managers who say, fine, look, I want exposure to the metal. What's the best way of doing this? And that then is by actually buying the gold ETF. So you might actually find that in this situation, you might find institutional asset managers saying, well, let me do exactly the same thing. Because what's the alternative? You have to sell, you have to liquidate, you have to take the cash and actually go and buy some platinum somewhere, which is really, really difficult. Yeah. Look at your screen at the moment. You'll see some of the returns that you could have generated for platinum and silver over the last 5 years. And you can see the spot price there for platinum. You see the return, the total return there. You see the silver spot return over there. And then you can just look at the annualized return, 6.8%, 0.81% per annum for platinum, and 19.4 relative to the annualized return there for the silver market. I mean, the other thing I think which is quite important here is that there's no silver producer in South Africa that I'm aware of. There's certainly that is listed. So the only way that you're going to get silver exposure is by actually buying the actual underlying
unless
metal.
you take your money offshore and you invest in a mine offshore.
Absolutely, and now we've got regulation constraints, so, kind of playing into that space as well, which kind of makes things quite difficult. Vladimir, maybe just a question from my perspective. I mean, we're talking about what is the difference? I mean, these aren't the only metal-based ETNs that track platinum and silver. There are other ones in the market as well. What are the differences between the two?
Well, the main difference, and we've kind of touched on it couple of times during this chat. The main difference is that our ETNs, the silver and platinum ETNs, track spot price of the precious metals. All the other ETNs, commodity ETNs in the South African market, track the futures price. And by that token, they obviously introduced the element of the roll risk, and in the case of precious metals, underperformance.
Are you seeing any interest from not retail investors, but the trading kind of outfits, hedge funds, institutional investors who would like to use these as a counterparty, especially in the long short space?
Yep.
You go along the stocks and short the metal, or long gold and short platinum. Are you seeing that kind of
Yes,
demand?
well, we've just, as you know, we've just listed a couple of weeks ago, but we already had some institutions investing in the, especially in the platinum ETN, and interestingly enough, I think there is a one particular play that people are engaging in, and that is the discrepancy between the platinum and the gold price.
Yeah.
And lots of people do believe that the platinum price should start catching up.
Give us an idea of the type of cost we're looking at right now, because as you say, it's 100th of an ounce you're investing in when you invest in one ETN share.
Sure.
What type of cost are we looking at?
Yeah, there is a single cost of 0.4% per annum.
But obviously, in terms of the actual price of these ETNs, and that will fluctuate. I'm
Oh,
sure.
it is whatever the cost of, whatever the price of platinum. So it's at the moment, I think platinum is around 1,600. I don't know the exact number, multiplied by the rand dollar exchange rate divided by 100. So it would be around 100 and something. I can't give you the exact figure today, but it is. That is the price per one ETN. Obviously, silver price is much lower than that.
The other thing as well, Vladimir, is these are inward listed instruments.
Correct.
And I mean, they're not the only inward listed instruments that they're on the market. Just explain quickly, just to kind of give us an understanding of what inward listed actually means.
Yeah. Well, as we all know, in South Africa we have exchange controls, and the current ruling for investing in any foreign asset, and at the moment commodities, apart from new gold, which is deemed to be domestic because it invests in South African gold, any other commodity investments is deemed to be investment in a foreign asset, and if it's listed, is deemed to be inwardly listed. And that means that if you're a retail investor, then that doesn't form, investing in an inwardly listed instrument doesn't form part of your exchange control allocation or your foreign allocation. If you're an institutional investor, on the other hand, then it would form part of your offshore allowance. So you would have to, obviously, you would have to deduct it. For retail investors, it's a perfect investment because they don't have to worry about exchange controls.
So if you're watching the price of the metal quite closely and you see it rallying, there's that strong correlation towards the price. You know that the value of your ETN share pretty much moving
Absolutely.
in tandem with that.
Absolutely.
Roland, what is your assessment of this asset, of these ETNs versus other assets in the market? Be they property-linked equities, be they normal equities, mining shares? What is your overall view of this?
Well, generally, when you're investing in a share, the share is a company, and the company has to have customers, and the customers want products, so the company is producing some kind of product. Whereas what you are doing by investing in these metals is you are directly going to the source of the production process. So you are investing in a different sort of point in the business cycle before companies even get involved in it. And that is quite useful, especially when industrial production is picking up. You might not want to have the corporate risk that is associated with these kind of things. So there's some very interesting trading strategies and portfolio construction strategies with these instruments.